Welcome to another all-terrain tyre shootout, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Big Six Simpson. On the back of last year's 2020 all-terrain tyre top 10 and the success therein, I'll bring you the 2021 version. What tyres are good enough to stay on the list and what aren't good enough to stay on the list. A couple of these tyres I've had on my truck, and I've driven quite a few of these through the test cars I get. And some of them I just drool at, like a little boy looking at a Lamborghini. So let's get straight into it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go for number 10, a tyre that's been making a bit of noise in South Africa. It recently won an all-terrain tyre shootout by SA 4x4 magazine. Shout out to SA 4x4, I hope there's still a heartbeat in you there. Another possible casualty of COVID. But anyway, back to the General Tyre Grabber AT3s. They scored top on a recent all-terrain tyre shootout, but they failed to test one thing, and that's sidewall strength, which in the drive-out test they gave a kilopascal pressure rating. Well, they basically took a machine that just tried to burst the side of the tyre wall, and the grabbers didn't come out so well. Middle of the pack. I think it was about 140 kilopascals pressure to break the tyre. So it's good if you're into sort of light to medium gravel roading and mainly tar use. But if you're doing serious outback driving where you're a long way away from civilization, I don't know if I'd quite put I'd want to have 3 spare tyres basically if I was taking the General Grabbers. They're well priced, they look pretty cool, but they just can't hang at that upper end of ruggedness off-road. But a good General tyre, and that's maybe why they're called General tyres. And number 9 on the list, we have a tyre that's very, very popular in North America. Not a very well-known tyre in South Africa, but it's the Toyo Tyre Open Country AT3, very popular in the US of A. I have heard some reviews that the sidewall isn't as strong as, say, a BF Goodrich KO2, and is susceptible to some sidewall failures, which in a South African or an Australian setup you're going to be found out pretty quickly. So once again, great looking tyre, fairly aggressive tread pattern. Would be great on almost a show truck with 19, 20-inch rims, 21, 22-inch rims. A car that's going to do 90% tar road and a bit of off-roading on the weekend. The Toyo tyre is going to have you covered. That's why it's good enough for number 9 on the list. Number 8 on the list, we have I would say, the most improved tyre of the last 10 years. Comes in at number 8 on the list. They were originally found on my first experience was on the 2005 Subaru Forester, where we got 2 punctures in basically 2 days. And the first puncture was just literally mounting the pavement. I'm happy to report that the sidewalls on the latest version of the Yokohama G-Landers are a lot stronger. On the sidewall test I was mentioning earlier, it took a pressure of 158 kilopascals to break this tyre, which is a vast improvement on the previous generation Yokohamas. I've heard people having nightmare stories of being stuck in Tankwa with ripped tyres and all sorts of nonsense. So well done Yokohama, you've raised the game. To put it into perspective, the BF Goodrich tyre broke at 196 kilopascals, and the worst of the tyres they tested was the Continental Cross Contact, which punctured at 110 kilopascals. So that's quite a range. Almost, you could say the BF Goodrich is twice as strong as the Continental Contact. But anyway, that is a story for another day, ladies and gentlemen. So, Yokohama's number 8 on the list. Much improved tyre, good on tar, not too noisy. They look a lot cooler than they used to, a bit more grip and bulkiness around the sidewalls. Still not heavy off-roading tyres, but good for touring and light off-roading. Number 7 on the list. I might come in for a bit of stick on this, but it is what it is. One of the most vaunted all-terrain tyres in the business. One of the strongest all-terrain tyres in the business, if not the strongest sidewall in the business. But in the same breath, some of the worst on-road handling and wet handling. You get the BF Goodrich KO2 coming in at number 7. I drove them on the Ranger Raptor and I was incredibly disappointed with them on tar. The braking distance and cornering is really agricultural, would be the nicest way to put it. You really got to work hard and have skills to drive that car at any kind of speed through the corners. But then you get it off-road and it's phenomenal. Best tire I've driven with off-road. Extremely tough. Very strong sidewall. In most all-terrain tests it comes on top on sidewall strength. It's just that that's on-road manner, so it depends. If you're living on a farm, I'd get the KO2s. Although I've got a friend, Mackie, who's got a farm in Grafenet, and even the KO2 sometimes get punctured. So it just shows you that no tire is, shall we say, bulletproof. But I think the more strength and more sidewall you do have, the better chance you have of getting away from the sort of medium-sized problems. Big nails and sharp objects are going to pretty much break most tires. So it is a difficult one to put the BF Goodrich, but it's a beautiful looking tire. It's got a lot of history. It's got a lot of machismo. It's got mana, as my mate Dwayne would say, from New Zealand. Coming in at number 6 on the list is another tire born in the USA, tried and tested on some of the harshest conditions. The Baja Rally, for example, where its bigger brother, the ATZ, cut its teeth. But good enough for number 6 is the Micky Thompson Deegan 38's all-terrain tire, which is probably about Micky Thompson's most all-terrainy tire. The other ones are bordering more on the mud side, but the 38 is a good alternative to the KO2s if you want something that's rugged, great off-road ability. But these, I would suggest, are a little bit better on-road than the KO2s. They don't look as rugged as the Micky Thompson ATZs, which is a cross between an all-terrain and a mud tire, which we might be seeing a little bit higher up on the list. But if you're looking for something that gives you good on-road ability and a tough, solid off-road tire, not the cheapest tire on the market. It also looks cool. It's got the white writing. The Micky Thompson Deegan 38s have got you covered. Great for touring, great for towing. Not going to be really for serious off-roading, but if you like a bit of weekend warrioring, grade 3 off-road and touring through the outback, can't go wrong with the 38s, and would work well on a trailer as well. Number 5 on the list, a tire that I've had on my truck for 60,000 Ks, and I've only had one puncture. Well, I had 2, but the other one the tire didn't go down, and I was able to get it fixed at the shop. The other one was a blowout. And probably about, of the 60,000 Ks, let's say 20,000 Ks on gravel. So for me, that's been really good. It's got the Kevlar, and I've been corrected. Apparently the ones in South Africa don't have the Kevlar sidewalls, but only the Kevlar on the tread. And the ones in America have the Kevlar on the sidewalls. So there's always a bit of debate about that. It's a bit sneaky marketing by Goodyear, because on the side of the tire it says Kevlar armor, so you'd think that would be pertaining to the sidewall, but some people are telling me it pertains to the tread as well. But anyway, Kevlar on the tread is a great thing to have. I mean, that's what they make bulletproof vests out of. And I found the sidewalls to be strong. I had some Chinese all-terrain tires on before and got a puncture in the Cederberg, and I thought I need to get some proper tires, and that was about 4 years ago, and still got the same set of Goodyear Wranglers on. Done about 60,000 Ks, and I've probably got another 20,000 Ks off them, so I can comfortably get 80,000 Ks off them, and I haven't been babying the tires. and one puncture, so I can live with that. And in terms of the wet, good in the wet, good in the dry, good off-road. They're not going to be much good in serious mud and sort of grade 5 off-road, but if you're looking for a tyre that's going to be pretty quiet and comfortable driving to work, and it can still tough enough to hack it out in the trail, the Goodyear Wranglers have got you covered. It still has a very good sidewall. It only broke at 176 kilopascals and was second behind the famed BF Goodrich for sidewall strength, so it's still a really strong tyre. I've always liked the Goodyear brand. If you're looking for a good middle of the road, a good balance between road etiquette and proper off-road ability, the Goodyear Wranglers have got you covered. The one thing I don't like about the Goodyear Wrangler Adventures is they look a bit dorky compared to the ATSAs. The previous one had a bit more of a manly side shoulder, and in my mind it looked better, but on paper the Adventure is supposed to be quieter and hunter fish pace. But anyway, good enough for 5 on the list, the Goodyear Wranglers. Sure, ladies and gentlemen. This ain't easy, but it's got to be done. So that's the first step into the top 5. Let's go to number 4, ladies and gentlemen. A tyre that's quite fairly-ish new on the South African market. I just recommended to a friend of mine. He put it on his Subaru Forester to get a more rugged off-road tyre. But this is probably, I would say, the best tyre for an SUV or a small pickup is the Discovery AT3 by Cooper. The Discoverer AT3, I beg your pardon, by Cooper Tyres, a very, very well respected tyre in the off-road scene and the on-road scene. They make a variety of different tyres. And my buddy's highly impressed with them. Incredibly good cornering, fantastic off-road. They look great. They've got a nice chunky tread. So if you're looking for something for an SUV or a bucky that you're going to spend 90% of your time on tar and 10% on gravel, it's not as strong as the KO2s, but if you're looking for something that's a little bit has good on-road manners, you can fly it into the corners and it's going to come out. The Discovery AT3s, Discoverer AT3s have got you covered. Top 3 time, ladies and gentlemen. This is never easy, and we've got probably the biggest climber from the 2020 list up to the 2021 All Terrain Shootout list of mine is the Falken Wildpeak AT3s. I've been hearing wonderful things about these tyres. My mechanic has got the older AT1s on his bucky and they're pretty much bald. He's got over 100,000 Ks out of them. He swears by these tyres. I've been hearing about these tyres for a couple of years in South Africa, and at first you're a little bit suspect about anything new on the market, but the AT3s really have been backing up their words. Great tread life, solid sidewall, and their price. They can compete with any tyre on price, and for that they come in at number 3 on the All Terrain Tyre Shootout of 2021, the Falken Wildpeaks. And probably you could say the best bang for your buck All Terrain tyre on this is going to be the Falken Wildpeaks or the Goodyear Wranglers, ladies and gentlemen. You can't go wrong with either. And the Wildpeaks have had to muscle past some really prestigious names to get into the top 3, but there's always space on the list for tyres that are good for the pocket and get you out in the bush. But that's what this is all about. For me, when I'm looking at a car, reliability is paramount, and when I'm looking at a tyre, reliability is paramount. Sidewall strength is pretty much very much high up on the list, and obviously on-road manners. That's where something like the KO2 lets itself down, is those on-road manners. But if you're basically looking at it as a farm vehicle, something like the KO2s are going to suit you down to the ground. Top 2 time, ladies and gentlemen, and I went for a nice aggressive tyre here. This is in that ATZ range. between your all-terrains and your muds, and I think you know what I'm talking about. Gave it away. They're the Micky Thompson AT3s. Really rugged, attractive looking patterning and tread pattern. The sort of thing that would be good on mud, good on gravel, and still relatively quiet on tar, and it's got good enough tar handling capabilities to get it into the top two. Very popular tire in America. You see them on a lot of pickups. You can't really go wrong with them. They've been tried and tested on the Baja Rally. It's got that Micky Thompson pedigree, and you need pedigree to get into the top 3 of this list, and Micky Thompson has that in bucket loads. Some people say they are a little bit noisy, and with that tread pattern you're going to get it with those big lugs, but if you want something that you spend quite a bit of time on the off-road tracks, it's your hobby, you're going to want to get a set of AT3s. They're also a little bit different, and you're not going to see them on every truck in South Africa, whereas with the Wranglers and the KO2s they're very common. And number 1 on the list, the reigning, defending, undisputed champion of off-road tires, in my opinion, manages to defend its crown, the Cooper AT3 LTs. For me, the best compromise of on-road ability and off-road ability. I'd probably say these are 60% off-road, 40% on-road. Extremely tough sidewall, big shoulder. You can let these down to 1 bar and you'll just float along. Great on sand. Not the cheapest tires in the world, but extremely strong. It's very attractive and will make any truck look better. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Disclaimer is this is very subjective. It's from my experience dealing with tires, driving different trucks, and I'm going to have my own personal biases, so take it from whence it comes. But we've got to have a special mention for a few tires that didn't quite make the list but have really been improving. And one tire that is improved is the Pirelli Scorpion All Terrain Plus. I really like the look of this. If you've got something that you're mainly going to be needing for tar, and you want to put a big rim on it, like a 22-inch rim, and put a 50 or 55 profile tire on, the Pirelli Scorpion Plus is a really good option. Fantastic on-road manners. Off-road is not going to be as tough as these other tires in the top 10, but if you're looking for something for your truck or SUV that's going to have decent grip off-road, going to look the business, but still perform admirably on tar, the Scorpions have got you covered. But I couldn't put them against serious off-road tires because for me that sidewall strength is bellissimo. And special mention for the Nitto Ridge Grabbers, very popular in the USA. You don't see many of them in South Africa. Fairly aggressive all-terrain tire, great off-road, but I hear they are like ice skates in the wet, and for that reason they don't make the top 10. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Leave your comments below. Have I missed anything out? Is there anything that's brand new on the market that should be on this list that isn't on this list? Let me know below. So keep them peeled, and we'll catch you next time on Africa Sideways. Big Six here, ladies and gentlemen, and I've just released my first children's book entitled Mr. Oily and the Runaway Lawnmower. Check it out on Amazon in your country. Catch you next time, Africa Sideways.